Hey folks, Dirt Cheap Gaming here, and today I focus on a how-to video for Pokemon Showdown, like I promised I would in my first video. With that out of the way, for those of you who missed it, meet Bones, my new mascot and co-host. It's time for me to do my job. This dunderhead accidentally recorded some public chat and names. Lucky for him, he give me personal army. I forgive him. For now. Must figure out what to do with them. And if you ever call me Boris off camera again, I will break you. It's stereotype, even if proud Russian name of my heritage. Well, the name is similar. Hey folks, remember, pick your friends carefully, even if they are figments of your imagination. I will figment a certain co-star if he doesn't stop talking. Anyway, if you want to skip the how-to section, which is the majority of the video, and want to go directly to the finished product of the team, skip ahead to 1620. Please watch the accompanying disclaimers for that time period. Thank you. This has been Dirt Cheap Gaming, bringing you the bare bones of gaming. Now, let's have some fun. Now, the first thing to do for your team is to pick a starting Pokemon that you want to center it around. Usually this is a sweeper or a tank. In this case, I will pick Arctovish. Arctovish is a Pokemon with a lot of flaws, so you have to balance your team carefully. Start by picking a Pokemon to support it. In this case, I'll be referencing another YouTuber's video, but I'll keep it a secret. In this case, Galvantula is a strong lead. Not only can it use Thunder Wave, but it can produce Sticky Web, which will slow the opponent upon entry. Arctovish is slow, and it has an uncommon typing that is not very good. It needs this advantage. Or, as you will find out later in the video, supplementary things of different natures. Try different varieties and see what works. Each Pokemon is unique, and therefore, the team you make for it must be unique. I start by designing Arctovish around its strengths. If you know what a Pokemon's strengths are, it makes it far easier to develop a team around them. That way, you do not have any conflicting interests if, say, you are trying a new idea or design. Once I have gotten any obvious moves out of the way, I then check its move pool to see if there is anything unique that it can offer me, or something that I might have missed. Once you have done this, you pick your item to supplement their strengths or weaknesses accordingly. In this instance, I already knew what I wanted Arctovish to do, so I gave it a choice band. Next, I look for a type to cover Arctovish's weaknesses. In this case, I was looking for a ground type that might serve as a tank or a wall in order to avoid Arctovish's electric type weakness. In the end, I selected Melmetal for its strong defense and near-perfect offensive coverage. Melmetal is not a ground type, and therefore I must look elsewhere. Given Melmetal has poor recovery and a common type weakness with Arctovish, I look elsewhere and end up settling with Runerigus. Runerigus not only offers me a fighting type immunity, but it will also allow me to prevent Rapid Spin users from getting rid of my Sticky Web. It will also allow me to set up Stealth Rock. I then pick Torkoal, an additional wall that has the ability to use Rapid Spin, thereby able to remove opposing hazards. In addition, it is also capable of using Stealth Rock, allowing me a second hazard user if need be. Once again, I set a Pokemon's movesets based upon its strengths, and then adjust as my team needs. I then set each Pokemon's effort values according to what I want to bolster and the jobs that they need to do. For those who are unfamiliar, effort values is the term shortened to EV. You will see why I ended up settling with Runerigus over Torkoal later in the video. At this point, I had selected Torkoal for its ability to disrupt weather teams, and for its utility at removing hazards. Since I was short a ghost type, I then move on to Dragapult. Dragapult has many strengths, including its type coverage and ability to pivot. Pivoting is the ability for a Pokemon to deal damage and switch to another Pokemon, or in some instances, the ability to switch into an allied Pokemon without fear of being harmed. As a point of interest, after selecting Dragapult's moveset, I then choose Sucker Punch in case I encounter another opposing Dragapult. That way, I have a surprise ensured for my opponent. This also gives me a priority move in case I need to move first in battle. With the majority of my team made, I then looked for other weaknesses. In this case, I had no special wall, so I selected Blissey, one of the strongest special walls available. Goodra caught my eye for its appealing moveset and strong defenses, but I already had a Dragon type and the shared weaknesses was a vulnerability. I had intended for Goodra to be a backup sweeper with great coverage, but as I noted, the weaknesses were too big of a trade-off. Goodra also has poor recovery, meaning that I would need something more. As the time passes, I evaluate my team and try to look for any common weaknesses or other problems. But the only way to truly evaluate your team's effectiveness is in battle with another opponent, as you will come to see in my first battle. For those of you who think this is boring, I have cut the length of this video in half and been editing for over 8 hours. Actually, around 10 at this point. Make that 11. For those of you who think that it's easy, please support your streamers. We work very hard to entertain you. Now, with the fun out of the way, those of you who want to skip to the battle, go to 7 minutes and 45 seconds. For those of you who wish to watch me finish editing my team, enjoy the music, courtesy of Free Music 109. Consider giving them a watch. There will be a link in the description, and those artists who donate their content will enjoy your support. This has been Dirt Cheap Gaming, bringing you the bare bones of gaming. And remember, so long as you haven't set your toaster on fire, you can probably play this game. I immediately noticed something upon entering battle. I had no coverage for rock types, making my Arctivish vulnerable to that and the similar ground type. As I discovered later in the battle, I also had little to no coverage for Landorus and Buzzwole. If you want to improve your team further, consider looking at other Pokemon that are common within the tier of your gameplay, and remember, broaden your knowledge of other tiers. You never know when someone might pull a fast one on you and bring in a Pokemon you are unfamiliar with. With the basics out of the way, observe your opponent and their behaviors. If you can predict your opponent based upon what you know about them, you can control the flow of the battle and bring yourself one step closer to victory. Once you have observed your team's flaws in action, decide what you can change to avoid these problems. Start small with say 1 or 2 Pokemon or a moveset. When it came down to it, there was just nothing I could do against a Buzzwole. My opponent had a well-crafted team and capitalized upon my weaknesses. Don't let one defeat be the end of your team. Learn from it and improve. And above all, remember to be polite. Kids play this game. Come to a satisfying end with a good game and just congratulate your opponent. It hurts sometimes, but the more you learn, the better you get. Hey folks, I hope you can bear with me so far. This has been a lot of work, and I would really appreciate it if you could get to the end of the video to see my latest quip, the disclaimer, and the preview created by the original developers. Nah, they don't care, comrade. They want to know more about the process. Look at that puny Octavish, so slow and weak. Easy to catch, easy to kill. Hey, language buddy. Pokemon get knocked out, not killed. It makes no difference. In battle, there is only one winner. So I noticed there were problems. First and foremost, Arctivish was entirely reliant upon the sticky web. but even with Sticky Web up, its around 200 speed could not keep up with faster threats. And so, I decided to make some changes. Arctivish has an ability called Slush Rush, which allows it to double its speed in Hail. This would allow me to give it speed without needing Sticky Web on the field. I decided to change Torkoal out for Ninetales and let my Arctivish keep its Choice Band. This would give me the Slush Rush bonus while also keeping my ability to disrupt opposing weather teams, although it did leave me weaker against hazards. I then focused upon Dragapult, finding that it did not do much for my team. Needing a Ghost type, I brought in the earlier mentioned Runerigus. With that out of the way, I checked over my team once again, looking for any weaknesses that the Pokemon might have in common. I unfortunately overlooked the Rock-type weakness yet again, but the team was balanced so far and performed better, as you will see in the upcoming battle. Remember, it's a process. Building a team is not about having instant success, although that is nice. Have a goal in mind and adjust your team accordingly, making changes and improvements based upon what you find through experience. Runerigus helped out greatly, having not 1, but 3 immunities. What really caused Runerigus to shine was its attack, Trick Room, which allows the slowest Pokemon within the highest priority bracket to move first. Once again, this has been Dirt Cheap Gaming, bringing you the bare bones of gaming. I hope you have enjoyed my content. Now, let's get to that battle in a couple of seconds. As you can tell, things are already off to an interesting start. My opponent has chosen Arctivish's counterpart, Arctozolt, and developed a team around it. My improvements were not enough to best them, but it did give me insights to what I needed to do to improve my team. As always, Pokemon is as much about playing your opponent as you do the game. Learn about your opponent, react accordingly, and you just might pull off a victory with a less optimized team, or from a disadvantage. If you give up at the first setback, you are defeating yourself. We both had similar teams, so in this case, it came down to who could undermine the opponent's strengths in the best manner. My opponent figured out that I could not overcome their wall's defenses, and despite a long battle, I had to give in as there was no way for me to overcome this strategy, and the result was an imminent victory for them in roughly 5 turns by just repeating what they were doing. I'll be quiet for now and let you observe the battle. You can then compare this battle to the finale. Now, here is where things got interesting. I noticed that Arctivish had the common problem with choice item users. It could use only one attack. This put it at a distinct disadvantage for how common its type resistances were. Making note of how useful Trick Room was in the previous battle, I decided to alter my team accordingly. First, I used Arctivish so that it uses a Life Orb instead of a Choice Band. There is a slight damage drop, but the versatility was worth it in this case. I then changed its ability back to Water Absorb, giving me an additional immunity in the process. Next, I looked for a bulky Pokemon. I thought Tyranitar might be a good fit, but decided against it due to how many common weaknesses I was racking up, most notably to fighting and ground, two very common types. I browse through the list and carefully choose my replacement, settling on a new personal favorite of mine. It means me! Me! I was based upon this! That you were, Bones. It doesn't mean I like it, but it is my legacy. I am no Bewear. I am a proud Russian space bear. I thought you were a time-traveling space bear. That too, comrade. Now some of you may have noticed that I was constantly switching through choices. This is because I kept ending up with common weaknesses to fighting. Bones too. I have no weaknesses. My Omni and I have even removed all evidence of my set. Is unique to me and private, much like those undergarment things you humans are so prone to wearing. That's a little too much information, Bones. In the end, I ended up settling with Hatterene, another personal favorite of mine. Hatterene has great offensive and defensive stats. It can fit just about any role you intend for it, and with its ability, Magic Bounce, an opponent has to think twice about using their hazards, else they provide free utility for you. And now it's battle time. Hey folks, it's time for the disclaimer. Kids, pause the video and have your parents watch the video and look up information about the game mentioned at the end. Everyone else, look up information about the game if you are not already familiar with it. Its content may be illegal in your country or heavily edited. This is a family-friendly show. While the game is only a teenage rating, I know there are some differences in countries out there, as the opening scene has been edited by me to remove video of an execution. This is the reason for the chopped audio clip, as I have spent too much time editing this already at nearly 16 hours. With that out of the way, I hope you enjoy my short skit and the preview for my next video's content.
War. War never changes. Well, yes it does. We ain't using sticks and stones no more, folks. I even have a tactical nuke around here somewhere.
Hey, be careful with that!
What's the worst that could happen? Dirt, you okay, buddy?
Yeah, sitting in front of a computer every day, I've built up a tolerance. I'm fine.
Dirt? Dirt! Well, folks, Dirt just melted into a puddle, and I think Bones slipped into a time warp. Clever space bear. Enjoy the preview, and my role in our next video.
War. War never changes. The Romans waged war to gather slaves and wealth. Spain built an empire from its lust for gold and territory. Hitler shaped a battered Germany into an economic superpower. But war never changes. In the 21st century, war was still waged over the resources that could be acquired. Only this time, the spoils of war were also its weapons: petroleum and uranium. For these resources, China would invade Alaska, the US would annex Canada, and the European Commonwealth would dissolve into quarreling, bickering nation-states bent on controlling the last remaining resources on Earth. In 2077, the storm of World War had come again. In 2 brief hours, most of the planet was reduced to cinders. And from the ashes of nuclear devastation, a new civilization would struggle to arise. A few were able to reach the relative safety of the large underground vaults. Your family was part of that group that entered Vault 13. Imprisoned safely behind the large vault door, under a mountain of stone, a generation has lived without knowledge of the outside world. Life in the vault is about to change.
Join us next time in Anyone Can Play Fallout.
Hey folks, if you liked the content, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the content. As always, this has been Dirt Cheap Gaming, bringing you the bare bones of gaming. And remember, check out my Anyone Can Play series for games that just about any computer can play. My Middle Ages Can Play for games of medium system requirements, and the Highlanders Can Play for higher end games, if I ever get that far. Bye.